Welcome. Today I'm going to talk about 3 ways of moving on from a person. So, I am out, it's a beautiful autumnal day, and was asked this question essentially about how to move on by one of my subscribers. And essentially what they were saying is they've been together and split up from someone, and it's been like a year and a half, but they're struggling to get over this relationship because they're in the same group of friends, so they keep bumping into each other. So he asked the question, how do I move on? So I thought today I'd just share 3 ways of moving on from someone. So the first way I would recommend is closing the door on them. Now, this might seem obvious, yet I see a lot of people, when they finish a relationship, they don't finish it. They still text each other, they still meet and chat, and it's really important just to energetically close the door, see that the relationship is over. And an important part of that is to grieve, is to go, oh, yeah, this really hurts. And a lot of us don't want to close the door because we don't want to connect with that grief within us. So a practice you can do for closing the door is a shamanic metaphysical practice called cutting the fibers. And it is said in shamanic teachings that we have fibers which connect us to people, sometimes in a benevolent way, sometimes in a not so nice way, like attachments. And one of the things after a relationship, it's like, well, we still have this connection. And the practice is, you imagine you have these fibers going from your belly, and they're attached to different people. And you get a sword or a pair of scissors, whatever, and you imagine you're just cutting that fiber, that connection you have to that other person. And you imagine those fibers going back to the other person with a rose. So it's like, with benevolence, you send that back with love, and then you see the fibers coming back into yourself again with a rose. And just holding that, you can place your hand over your belly and just see and wish that person well. So that's the first practice. The second practice is, the thing is about ceremony. So oftentimes we finish a relationship, but we don't really complete. A bit like closing the door, but to do it ceremonially, to say, yeah, thank you. And I have been in relationship a few years ago with a shaman, and she and I, when we finished, it was like completing. We did a ceremony and we thanked each other. And it was like, thank you. And we also said to each other, was there anything that needed to be said that had been left unsaid? And we cleared from our hearts, said, I'm really grateful, or whatever it is. And by doing that, you complete. And that's like an adult way of finishing, rather than what most of us, it's like the hurts and the hatred, and we don't really finish. And therefore, it's difficult to get over it because we've not kind of let go, really. So you can just, if you're not being with someone who has that ability to do a ceremony, do one yourself. Set up a circle. You can put rocks or flowers out, or you can go into the woods and you just sit, meditate, be still, and you thank that other person for everything that they did give you. You might still be hurting, but it's really important that you thank them. Say thank you. So the third way of getting over someone is to do with taking responsibility for everything that you feel. So when you feel anger towards that person, or maybe hatred, it's to know that that is a reflection of you. If you project it out onto them and say, oh, it's all their fault, know that you know, by the very definition of law of attraction, you've drawn that to you. So to take responsibility to what you feel and acknowledge it and give yourself that space, and it could be to grieve, to go, oh, that was really, really painful and I really miss her. But if you let the tears go, what was coming up for me when I was reflecting on this question earlier, realizing that so many of the feelings that we have will probably be linked into earlier relationships, earlier life, and in particular to our mother and father. So you might feel this grief, but the chances are it's not the first time you felt it in relationship, and to put it onto that other person means that it's very difficult to actually complete, because you're not letting yourself feel what you feel, the grief, the pain. And when you do that, the heart starts to heal. So that's 3 ways of starting to heal and to get over a relationship. By doing that, it then means that when you meet the next person, you've done the work. You've felt into, oh yeah, that was difficult, that was painful, but I've let it go, and you can come afresh and you can meet someone who's not going to be exactly the same copy as the last person. You will have learned, you will have grown, you would have matured. So, yeah, a few reflections there. So I hope this is of help to the person who asked the question. So many blessings from this beautiful autumnal place, and yeah, may you be well.